China sending 71 warplanes and 7 ships to Taiwan in just 24 hours. The escalation coming after the U.S. approved $10 billion in aid for Taipei. Here to discuss if we should be concerned or not, the Heritage Foundation's James Carafano. I want to ask you, so U.S. citizens, or the U.S. is criticizing the military drills near Taiwan. The president calling it provocative. The actions here. Should we be concerned about stability in the region?
Well, look, this is kind of a good news, bad news, right? The good news is, I think most analysts agree, the Chinese are primarily doing this to protest against the U.S. aid for Taiwan, which means we're standing up for Taiwan. That's the good news. What's the bad news? Look, every time the Chinese do this, when their airmen fly and when their sailors go to sea, they are practicing the military skills to actually conduct an invasion. But you have to remember, there's 100 miles of water between them and Taiwan. This is a big operation. This is tougher than D-Day. Here's my concern. It's not today. It's not tomorrow. It's not even the next 2 years of Biden's presidency. If you look at the long-run trends of U.S. military power versus Chinese military power in the region, our Navy is continuously declining. Remember, people say pivot to Asia, which is stupid because 70% of the U.S. Navy, guess where it is? It's in Asia.
Right.
There's nothing to pivot to Asia, right? We've got to build more ships. That's got to stop. Now, if we don't do that, that is the most powerful signal to the Chinese that we just don't care about Taiwan, and they pay attention to what we do.
So they're looking at action. So they're looking at the U.S. actions, not what we say. Right?
They look at the numbers, and they say, we just hang in there, and in a decade, we're going to have as many nuclear weapons as they do, we're going to have a bigger Navy, and then we're going to say, what are you going to do now?
Do you think that, so these drills, you don't think move them closer to an invasion? We've heard some analysts say that possibly within President Biden's presidency, we will see an invasion or a takeover of Taiwan.
Look, I mean, who knows, right? Only the Chinese know what the Chinese are going to do. But you look at the next 2 years, right. That's a risky military exercise for them, particularly as the Taiwanese are taking their own defense much more seriously. They're increasing enlistments, they're changing their tactics. So I worry less about the next 2 years and the Chinese just sitting back and waiting.
So the Chinese connect many issues and do a one sort of country policy historically. The U.S. doesn't do that. They separate the issues. But this president allowing China to do business in Russia, allowing the more oil to be bought from Russia, does that send a message of weakness to the Chinese where they feel like they can ramp up and be more aggressive? Yeah,
you just identified really the Achilles heel of this administration. And it really is because it's a bit Jekyll and Hyde. You go inside this administration, and there are people like John Kerry who say, we need the Chinese for climate change. We have to find ways to cooperate. And other people saying, dude, do you not see the thing blinking red here? And they continually battle forth against each other, which is why our policy looks kind of ambivalent. One day we care about China, one day we don't.